What's up, y'all? It's your boy KevOnStage with the lovely and luxurious.
Let's KevOnStage.
And we are here tired.
Exhausted.
Physically.
Mentally.
And otherwise, any other way you could be tired. But we want to give you a warm welcome to the Love Hour podcast, where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of happiness. I want to have a tagline, but we don't. We are marriage champions. And we release this podcast weekly on Thursdays. And if you like it, tell a friend, share, give us 5 stars on iTunes, give us a review, go on our Yelp page, tell us how the steak was.
We have a Yelp page?
No, we don't. But tell somebody. Don't be stingy with something you love. If you had a new ice cream flavor at Ben & Jerry's, you wouldn't say, hey, nobody in the world know about this. You would tell them. So do the same thing for our podcast. We thank and praise you. We're grateful to God for you. We're going to sing some worship songs. Just kidding. We're not. Anyway, we're trying not to be somber, but it's been a somber week in America. Today is Sunday,
July 10th.
July 10th. My wife's birthday is tomorrow. Happy early birthday, babe.
Thank you.
She's going to be some odd years old. I don't reveal it, but we're both the same age, and I was born in 1983.
You tell this joke every time. It's not funny.
I was going to tell it tomorrow on Instagram. Now I don't know what I'm going to post.
You say it every single time.
Maybe I want to be corny and not funny.
Oh, well, you got to get a new corny joke, because now it's just not funny. It's not even corny. It's just not funny because you say it every time. It's predictable. And nothing's worse than corny than being predictable.
My wife's 33.
You're a hater.
Anyway, this is a free-flowing conversation, guys. How would you like to start, dear?
The other day, we had to have a conversation with Isaiah and Josiah about growing up black in America. Actually, that's not really how it started.
That's not how it started. What happened was, but that's the conversation we had to have.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we'll title this podcast.
Growing up black in America.
The most dangerous thing you can be in America right now is a black man. I think. Yeah.
For sure.
It's a black man. So there was Alton Sterling killed by police in Baton Rouge. The following day, Philando Castile killed by police in Minnesota. The following day, there was an attack on the Dallas Police Department.
Mm-hmm.
So prior to the attack on the Dallas Police Department, I made a video called I'm Afraid I'll Be Killed by Police.
Great video. It's very heavy, though.
Very heavy. It came about because Philando Castile, for whatever reason, I had kind of always thought, and I said this in the video, I'm not going to go over point by point what I said, but for whatever reason, I was always in the back of my mind like, man, this is crazy. This is so sad. The police are wrong. But and even though I'm black, I was never like, this could be me. Because I was always like, well, I'm never really in the wrong place or the wrong time, and I'm a law-abiding citizen, blah, blah, blah. But I have had a broken tail light. And the thing about Philando Castile was he complied with the police, and he still got shot. And that's when it dawned on me, like,
no one's exempt.
You're not exempt, Kev. You too. I'm a terrible driver. Horrible driver. I drift in lanes. I wouldn't pay attention. It's not past me to have a broken tail light. It's not even something I check. Whatever. I could be pulled over by police. I don't know what caused the police officer to have his gun drawn on him. It's not common in a traffic stop.
I feel like once he told him that he had a gun,
he pulled it out.
I just think that put him on the alert. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine you'd be put on alert.
Yeah. So anyway, I made the video, and my studio where I record is on the opposite side of the house from the boys' room. But they had finished getting dressed, and I was still recording, and they were making breakfast, and Isaiah was like, he heard the tail end of my video and was like, what was that about? Because I'm usually making jokes about whatever, or commenting on videos. I'm never really somber when I make videos. So he was like, what's going on with police, Daddy? What's going on in America? And I was like, your mom and I
feel
will
like
talk.
you're going to be muffled.
We're not. Your mom and I will talk to you about it tonight. Since then, he goes on YouTube and is watching his, Pokemon videos or video game videos, whatever they do. And my video pops up as a suggested video because he's on my channel, which is, still don't understand how that happened. But he was watching. Actually, he was looking at a friend of his YouTube channel, and he saw mine, watched it. And long story short, Melissa and I had to have the conversation about, what was happening with police and black men in America. And the thing that made me the most sad was Isaiah is almost 10, but he's a pretty tall kid. And Tamir Rice was only 12.
Yeah.
And you hope, that you can protect your kids from all the darkness of the world for as long as you can. But we had to have that conversation with him because he could be Tamir Rice. And that's a sad realization. And I was in the worst mood last week. I don't know that I could ever say I was clinically depressed, but I was.
You're in a funk.
I was in a sad funk. I was crying. I cried twice last week. Randomly burst into tears in my car on Friday, on my way to a show. I was looking at pictures of my kids, and I was just overcome with emotion. And Alton Sterling's son.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
that was too much.
That was too much. That's my theme for last week. It was too much.
It was too much. It's hard because you think, growing up, I don't know that my parents ever had to have that conversation with me about, growing up black in America, so to speak. It's just, I recognized it, something that I was aware of, but I don't know that we ever had to have one of those type of conversations. And maybe because we were so secluded on a military base that I really didn't, on a military base, it's very isolated. It's very much its own environment. It's not even a microcosm of the outside world. It's literally its own world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know that I've ever had to have those conversations with, with my parents. They never had those conversations with me. And now, I feel sad for my kids that they're 7 and 9, and we have to have a conversation with them about you're going to be considered black men, and you need to be aware of that. And the way that you interact with other people, you need to be aware of how they will always perceive you. It kind of saddens my heart that they can't just grow up as kids.
Yes. The hardest thing for me to tell my kids wasn't even that, police are going to see you as a threat. It's that people are going to call 911 on you without you doing anything wrong. And our kids are well behaved. I mean, they ain't going to be out here committing no crime. But Zay Zay especially is, for example, super tempered. I mean, super mild temperament. Never going to be, doing something he doesn't have any business. And to tell him that people are going to call 911 on you because of what you look like.
That possibility is there.
And yeah, the possibility is there. And the police might approach you differently than they would other people because of what you look like. And you can't wear a hood.
Yeah.
Because I remember taking JoJo's hood off out of instinct after Trayvon Martin. He was just walking through, I don't remember where we were. And he just wanted his hood on because his ears were cold. And I was like, no. Take your hood off and wipe that scowl off your face.
That's what I'm saying. You have to be more aware of how you're perceived and how people look at you. Any other person, a white boy walking down the street, if he's cold, he doesn't have this thought, oh my God, Trayvon Martin, oh my God, I'm gonna look intimidating, oh my God, I don't want anybody to be scared of me, I don't want anybody thinking I'm doing something wrong, let me not wear this hood and I'll just go through with my ears cold. No, right. I'm cold, I'm putting my hood on, that's the end of that thought process. Black people, you live a different reality, period. Even as black women, I was talking to one of my coworkers just the other day, and the building that I work in, it's between 85 and 90 people that work there, and I'm quite literally, no exaggeration, the only black person there. And I feel a responsibility to show a happy family.
Mm-hmm.
I have a responsibility when we talk about my childhood to say, I mean, I don't say outright, but yes, my father was present in my home. My
Right.
biological father. Yes, he was an awesome, amazing father, and he was present and active in my life. Yes, I am married to the father of my children. No, I do not have an unhappy marriage. No, I live in a happy life. No, I don't want to be at work all day because I do have something special that I want to go home to. And I do feel a certain responsibility. I remember I was talking to one of the customers, expediters, and he was almost shocked. Like, I have with the family pictures that we took.
Mm-hmm.
I have it. No, not for Christmas. The one we took for spring.
Oh yeah.
And the one we're all laughing or whatever, and it's on my computer. And he was like, "You guys aren't really that happy. How'd you guys, And it's almost it's facetious, but it's kind of being funny at the same time. And it's like, nope, we're actually that happy.
Yeah.
Nope. Actually, this is a genuine moment. We were all laughing, joking, smiling at whatever was happening in the moment. Nope, it's real. Like, and I feel, nope, I'm going to cut you off right there. We're not going to go down this rabbit hole of, so your husband works. And I've had to have lightweight conversations.
Is he a rapper?
Like, no joke, I've had to have kind of lightweight conversations with him about that, because he's definitely Republican, white guy, traditional, like in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
And he has a very skewed view of African American men. And so when I've had to tell him I was raised by my father and my parents were married and those type of things, and he looks very shocked. And I feel a responsibility, because y'all don't know a bunch of different black people.
Mm-mm.
So your perception of black people is what you see on the media. Your perception of black people is what you see on the news. And I need you to know that just like in your life, you have people that have nuclear families. You have some single moms you may know. You have all these different,
Mm-hmm.
family blended varieties that also exist in black families as well.
Right.
We're not all single moms. There are some nuclear families that exist. There are some black men out there who are excellent fathers and are present and active in their kids' lives. And it's a shame, because I don't feel like anyone else ever has those type of responsibilities or have to feel like they have to represent. And that's the thing. Black people, we feel like we have to represent our entire race. When we do stuff, I'm not there as an individual. I am representing my entire race. And what you get out of me is what you're going to label our entire race.
That's funny, because when I worked at the bank, there was a girl there, and she was Asian, and her family was fairly new to America. She had like a really thick accent and stuff like that. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're the first black guy since, she only knew black people in high school. Like, you're the first black guy who wears his pants pulled up and hasn't tried to hit on me and doesn't cuss and it's not a rapper or smokes weed."
I'm trying to tell you.
I'm like, I'm married, one. You ugly, two. I'm at the bank, so who sags a suit?
Right.
Anyway, if I did sag. And I don't want to hold my whole race. Like, that's one of the things I love about ADD. Yeah. I love about ADD is there's 85% of the people who work there are minorities, maybe 90%.
I feel like that literally last week when I went into work after all of these things happened, and I'm thinking to myself, number one, are you guys even aware?
Right.
And then and number two, it's clearly not weighing on you as much as it's weighing on
Absolutely. It was hard to even go to work.
Yeah.
But the good thing about my job is, like,
y'all get
all
to
the
talk
other
about
black men were like, man, this is...
Yeah.
Like, a couple of dudes had tears in their eyes, had to walk out and go to another room, tears in their eyes. I was talking to my brother about that. He was like, man, I told him I cried randomly. I don't know why I told him. He was like, man, I cried yesterday too. Like, I know, like, if I was working at the bank where I was the only black person there and I was a black man, I would have just been like, oh, y'all don't even know. Yeah. Like, or they just think the police are justified. So I don't even want to have the conversation because I already know I'm going to go in there defensive. And that was like the worst part about that, making that video, is having to defend myself, which I decided, thanks to my wife, I don't got to defend nothing.
You don't need to do, not just, but I mean that. Well, I don't know if you can say her name, but her quote of, "Do everything you can to protect your peace." I mean,
protect your spirit.
Protect your spirit. I mean, I think that was great advice. Even with, one of the guys that I work with at the bank and his comment on Facebook.
He's about to get knocked out. I hope you're listening, because I got hands for you.
I think it's troubling to me to think people that I know I've worked with and yada yada yada, and to a certain degree, me and Kev were talking about this, we would consider ourselves part of the Black Lives Movement. Not that we attend any meetings or anything like that, but if they had a march in LA, I most certainly would go. But I believe in this movement,
Black Lives Matter
movement. And to say his comment was that they're all thugs or whatever, and I'm like, you know me.
Right.
And if I'm saying Black Lives, and I'm hashtagging Black Lives Matter on my Facebook posts, and doing my little things on Instagram or whatever, in support of this movement because I believe in it, good and doggone well that this chick is not a thug.
Right.
So to label an entire, it's like, again, the same way you don't want us to label an entire organization of police as corrupt and bad because they're the good ones are there.
And the thing about police is there's always been corrupt police.
Exactly.
Since the mafia days, there's always been some cops that are on the take. Some cops that are working for, and that's not just in America. That's everywhere there's police. There's good and bad versions of every person.
Exactly.
There's corrupt politicians. There's good politicians. There's bad parents. There's good parents.
And the same way you want us to extend that benefit of the doubt, the same way you want us to extend that grace to the police to believe that there are good ones, and we don't need to just, blue lives matter as well. And what about the good cops? Well, so listen. Let's apply that same philosophy and that same thought process and that same grace that you're extending to the Black Lives Matter. Yeah, I feel the bulk of the people that are part of this movement are good-hearted, not thugs, and just looking for change. And you can't, It's
funny because a lot of times, everything with the Black Lives Matter things, people are always zero-sum. It's like, well, if y'all are anti-police, then why don't we just pull them out of your neighborhood?
Right.
And people are like, all we're asking for is to stop killing us, and when you do kill us, let's have some justice.
Right.
Why does it have to be either kill us or don't police at all? Like, why does it have to be so zero-sum?
That doesn't even make sense.
And why do you, if I say Black Lives Matter, why do you assume that I'm anti-law enforcement? Those two things are not the same thing.
They're not the same. And by no means does Black Lives Matter. No one is. We watched that video about Black Lives Matter. We have to remind you that Black Lives Matter because historically they have not. And that is what this movement is about. And it's just, it's entirely too bad that proponents of all lives matter, those proponents of that can't see. They don't understand it. It's truly
the worst
sad.
part is that they don't understand it is that they just spew the stuff that Fox News says. Like, you don't even have good sound logic when you're saying Black Lives Matter is divisive and all that. Yeah. Like, as soon as you say black, people are like, no, I'm colorblind. First of all,
I don't want, honestly, we had this conversation one time at my job too, or how it's good, about Black Lives Matter, or not Black Lives Matter. I got distracted. Sorry. Yeah. And one of my coworkers was saying, yeah, I don't see color. And I was like, absolutely 100%. When you look at me, I need you to see a black woman. Right. The way that I talk to you is because I am a black woman. The way that I process what you're saying is because I am black. The way that I view the world is because I am me. Is because I am a black. None of this, I don't see color. I absolutely 100% want you to see my color. I don't want you to actually, to a certain degree, I may want you to treat me and respect the fact that I am different. Right. Acknowledge those differences and then respect them.
The only way you don't see color is if you're colorblind.
Quite literally.
And if you literally have not been diagnosed with being colorblind, or you're not a dog, you see color. What they're trying to say is, I treat people all the same regardless of their color. Or I treat people with respect regardless of the color. Say that.
But say that.
Because this one video that was circulating that was the white lady who was saying, you know what I'm gonna say? If you would rather be treated like black people are treated in America, stand up.
Yep.
And nobody stood up.
Nope.
And she said after that tells you, A, there's a problem. B, you know you're treated, and you know so much that you don't want to be treated like them.
Exactly.
So let's stop. You see color when you know it ain't you. And the problem is, your color does not have as many consequences as mine. And that's why.
And that's why you don't want to trade it off. You want to do this whole equality thing, but what you need to recognize is that there is a difference. And so all lives matter, duh. That goes without saying. But I need to remind you that Black lives matter. And because they haven't been treated as such, we need to do something about that. Period.
I just realized this really has nothing to do with relationships and marriage like we usually talk about, but it has something to do with the fabric of our life in America, and it's the most pressing thing on our mind.
And you can't not talk about it, and I think it does. I mean, we started off talking about with Isaiah and Joe, and the fact that we have to have those conversations. And you know, I was reading a Facebook post the other day, and the guy said he told his wife, "I'm gonna go check my brake lights today."
Right.
Like,
because
simple traffic stops ends people's lives.
Ends people's lives. Seriously.
It's a shame. It's sad.
It's exhausting.
It is exhausting. I haven't posted much on my Facebook outside of like reposting Black Lives Matter stuff. And tomorrow's my birthday, and I low key was like, I want to be fun. I want to do something fun. But then I was like, no, I want to make sure people know that I feel a certain way about this, you know?
It's funny because it's not funny, but I didn't feel like being funny. And I never don't feel like being, like nothing was funny. Everything sucked. Work was frustrating. I wanted to go away from America. I wanted to leave America for a little bit.
It's bad when other countries are like, so listen.
Oh my God.
America's going through right now.
Obama was like, look.
So here's your advisory warning. These cities have protests. You should steer clear. If you're a person of color, you should be very cooperative with the police. Give them but low key, it's like, I want a police officer to accidentally get buck with somebody of a different citizenship than the U.S. so other countries could come in. So listen, United States.
Ain't nobody doing that to the
United
States. I know,
but I feel like that type of like international scrutiny.
Yeah. And the truth is, it's way more than we even think. People getting killed by police. We only are really talking about the ones that are caught on video. Mm-hmm. There's way more that are happening. And some are justified.
Yeah, the violence is the new the cameras are.
Yeah. A coworker of mine was saying he don't even think that's true. He feels like it's been growing. Because I'll tell you, and I said this in the video.
What's not true?
He doesn't think that, he thinks it's growing. He doesn't think it's just the cameras are new. He thinks that race relations are worse in America, and it's more than, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're now I lost my train of thought. It's gone. It's gone, woman.
I'm sorry.
I lost it. Mm-hmm. I can't think of what I was going to say. I had a fantastic point. It's the most eloquent thing I was ever going to say in this world.
And it just left your brain just like that.
It was like, hey man, this is too eloquent. Mm-hmm. You can't even say this. Yeah, I keep thinking it's gonna come back and it ain't. Anyway, do you have any final thoughts?
It sucks to be black in America. And it's a shame because
I know what I was gonna say. I didn't grow up like this.
No, that's what we just said.
Like I remember talking to police when I was young. I can never even tell you I've had any disparaging run-ins with police, except the one time in Tacoma when they were like, "What are you guys doing here?" And we were at the place, the building that we owned. But it's over the last 5 years that I really have been like, man, I am terrified.
Oh, no.
Starting with George Zimmerman.
And he wasn't even a police officer.
He wasn't even a police officer. Because that was the first one I was like, man, this dude's crazy. This is ridiculous, but at least he's going to jail. Once he got off, I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
And that just set off a string of people getting off. Eric Garner, Oscar Grant. I think Oscar Grant was actually before Trayvon Martin. And that's the other thing. I was making my video, and it was like a game of like crossword puzzle of who died, because I was cross checking with an article about what black people were doing when they got killed, and the article listed the activity first and then the name. So it was like, in your car, I was like, Sean Bell. Thought it was your wallet, Amadou Diallo. Walking home with Skittles. It was like a sadistic version of like the New York Times crossword puzzle or whatever, because it was just sad. It was just terribly sad. So anyway,
we're sad.
We're sad. There ain't no.
Pray for America. For real.
Anyway, you can find Miss KevOnStage at.
You don't have any follow-ups?
No, it's weighing on my brain too much. After I talk about it too much, I have to talk about something else.
Well,
so I need to close it out.
We are closing it out with no final thoughts. We didn't wrap this up. We're sad. You are, I don't even know what to say. So I am part of a women's conference, the Love Yourself Gap Fest, that's taking place in August 5th, 6th, and 7th. In Atlanta, Georgia. If you're interested, tickets are on sale even now. You can go to loveyourselfgapfest.eventbrite.com. You can find flyer information on my Instagram at Miss KevOnStage. I finished a book. It will be available on August 5th. Fingers crossed. It is called The Journey to Self-Love. It is a self-help book to help you overcome low self-esteem, and it also tells you a little bit about my journey to overcome low self-esteem. I'm really excited about it. I hope that God would place it on your heart to hand over some dollars to me, so that it will be of use and of help to you and your soul and your journey to loving yourself and overcoming low self-esteem. So yes, you can find me on social media at Miss KevOnStage on Twitter and Instagram. I never tweet. And you can find me on Facebook at Melissa Fredericks.
KevOnStage, cuz everywhere. Thank y'all for tuning in. We will see you next week on the Love Hour podcast.